1, 2, 3. Hey, everybody, how you doing? This is True Powers Mind, and this is TPIMSR Live. Today's we have Jordan Maxwell as a guest. This man is a huge in the conspiracy realm, the esoteric realm. He is well versed. He has the history, but more importantly, Jordan has the key to decoding the madness. Jordan, you're still there on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Hopefully that intro kind of touched all the bases. You're a man with many hats as far as I'm concerned. But right off the bat, I have a... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say thank you for having me on.
Oh,
appreciate being here.
We appreciate I'm more than appreciated to have you. The first question I want to start off with comes from a confidential informant. He knows who he is. He wanted me to ask you to explain the Nazi Messianic symbolism of the movie Star Wars.
The Nazi connection to Star Wars?
And the Messianic.
You would say?
Yes, and the Messianic symbol as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, the mere fact that Darth Vader is speaking through a triangle or a pyramidal structure in his helmet was interesting. He's speaking through a pyramid. You remember?
Yes. Two of them. One's upside down, too, if you notice. He has one like right side up, but right below that, there's another one facing the other way.
Oh, that's even better. That's the Star of David.
Oh,
the two triangles. The two triangles, interspersed between the two triangles, that makes it a Star of David, a six-pointed star. And a six-pointed star is called a hex, H-E-X. That's why Jewish people are having so many problems they're crying about, because they're carrying around their neck a hex. That's what when we get the idea of putting a hex on you. And so a hex is a six-pointed star, and that's what the Star of David is. And then, of course, Darth Vader wears a black robe, and the black robe represents the planet Saturn. Saturn is the god of the black robe, and Saturn is the god of the Jewish people today. The Jews of the world today are worshiping the planet Saturn. And Saturn is called El in the Phoenician Canaanite system. Going back into the ancient world, the planet Saturn was the god of the Philistines.
Oh my God!
And the Canaanites, and his name Saturn was called Shabbat, S-H-A-B-B-A-T-H. So if you're going to worship
Sabbath,
Saturn, then it's going to be on something called the Sabbath. So in the Ten Commandments, when we're told to be, beware of the Sabbath and always keep the holy Sabbath. Sabbath is the planet Saturn. And so Saturn was called El in the Hebrew. The Hebrews call Saturn El, E-L. This is why you go to Temp El.
Oh my
Temp El is the house of El. And so this is why, when do you go to Temp El? You go on Saturn's day.
Yes.
Because Friday night to Saturday night, from Friday evening to Saturday evening, is a Jewish Saturday. And so you go to Saturn, you go to the Temp El on Saturn's day.
Jordan, we recently received new images of Saturn from one of our explorers, and it's odd how Saturn has a hexagon, I believe, at its North Pole. It's like
on the North Pole. That's right. A hexagon on the North Pole.
Now,
and who would have figured that out?
Yes,
who would have known that?
Exactly.
Why would the Zionists pick the Star of David as their symbol?
Now,
why?
I thought that was because of King Solomon. He used it to control demons.
Yeah, well, the problem is there was no King Solomon in history. King Solomon never lived. There was no man named King Solomon because there was no man named King David. All of the ancient stories that come out of the Old Testament Bible
Yes.
Ancient Israel never, ever existed. There was no ancient Israel. It never existed. It is merely a story. This is why the Apostle Paul talked about beware of the stories of the Jews.
Wow. This is fast.
Ancient Israel never existed. There was no such a place as ancient Israel. There was a place that we think of today we call Israel. That place we call Israel today, that's where we think the ancient Israel was. No, it wasn't. The area we call Israel today was called the land of Canaan. It was called Canaan, the land of Canaan. And the people living there were called Canaanites.
Right.
And today, the Canaanites still worship the planet Saturn, wearing the Saturnian symbol around the neck, which is a six-pointed star. So if you look in the dictionary, look up hexagram. It'll tell you it's a six-pointed star. Then go to the Bible, the Old Testament, and go to the Encyclopedia of the Old Testament. Look up the word Saturn and the ring of Saturn. It will tell you it's the Star of David. The Star of David is actually called the Star of Saturn. And the Jews never used that term. The Jews never used the six-pointed star. That was only, that six-pointed star, the Star of David, was only used by so-called Zionists, not the Jewish people. And it's only been around for about 100 years.
Now, could you kind of describe what a Zionist is for all the uninitiated?
Sure. A Zionist is a German fascist, a Nazi German. If you go back and look at the foundations of Zionism, it came out of Nazi Germany. And some of the most important Zionist leaders were put into power by Adolf Hitler. And what we call today Israel was caused by the Nazis. The Nazi Party in Germany set up what you call today Israel. It's quite an interesting story, and it's actually been proven over and over and over.
Now, it's funny you said that, because I've actually received reports that the SS Waffen was looking at Madagascar at one point as the true homeland of the Jews, and there was some discussion about sending the Jews to Madagascar.
Yeah, I know. You're right. It's an incredible story. And so many people have no idea in the world what's really going on and who founded the state of Israel and how did it get started. But there was no ancient Israel. There was no King Solomon or King David. If you go back to some of the very, very earliest scriptures in the Old Testament, go back to the very original scriptures in the Hebrew, you will find that, look at these scriptures today in the Bible that talk about King Solomon or King David. And then you will find in the older scriptures, King David is called King Druid, D-R-U-I-D, not D-A-V-I-D, King Druid, because the Jews are actually a Druidic priesthood. And the Druidic priesthood is actually a Gentile priesthood from Europe. That's why Judaism comes from Europe. This is why you have the Henry Kissingers who call themselves Jews, but they're actually German. They're Druidic.
But now
we're told that the Jews run Hollywood.
Yes.
In point of fact, the Jews do not run Hollywood. The Gentiles run Hollywood. The people who you calling Jews in Hollywood today are actually Europeans. They're not Semitic. There's no such a thing as a Semitic person anyway. There's just so much that people don't know. So much has been hidden from them.
They have no clue. Because what you're saying,
I know.
Now we have to ask the question, Jordan, who built the pyramids? Because you know the story of the pyramids being built by the Jews in the Bible might not be factual.
No, nothing could be further from the truth. Jews did not build any pyramids. It's absolutely on its face ludicrous. I'm getting a feedback on your show. I'm getting a feedback.
That's why I was. Hold on one second. Let me. I'm going to turn you off. That I'm just going to put just the speaker on, and that should be somewhat better.
That is much better.
All right, good. Now,
not only did the Jews not build the pyramids, I don't even think humans built the Great Pyramid.
Now we're getting
not all the pyramids, but the Great Pyramid of Giza, I do not believe was built by humans. I think if you really do some homework and go and do something for 60 minutes, I've been studying it for 60 years. But if you study the pyramids for 60 minutes, you will come to the same conclusion. Humans did not build the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Now, you actually traveled to the pyramid, haven't you?
It would have required somebody who was able to pick up 20-ton stones and take it 55 stories up the side of a hill. You have to keep building a pyramid smaller and smaller as it goes to the top. And at the very top, the stones are like 20 and 30 tons. Who is it that has the power to pick up a 20-ton stone and crawl up the side of a pyramid to put it in place? Who does that? And I have been in the pyramid. I was blessed in the king's chamber. 3 times I've been into Egypt and toured Egypt and giving lectures all over Egypt. And I was in this great pyramid. I was blessed by a Kemite priest in the king's sarcophagus, and I've seen the pyramid from the inside many times. And the things inside the pyramid defy your imagination. It defies anything you've ever heard or ever thought of. It's absolutely ludicrous to assume that humans built the pyramid. That's ludicrous on the face of it. Anybody who has ever been inside the one that we call the Great Pyramid of Giza and will tell you that humans built it have never even thought seriously about anything. Anybody who would make that statement would be a fool on the surface of it. And to understand what I'm saying, you need to go inside the Great Pyramid, as I did 3 times on 3 separate occasions.
Did you notice any
and you will be amazed at the things you will see with your own eyes. And you tell me humans built that pyramid. It's ludicrous on the face of it.
Well, I have a friend who has actually been there as well. And he told me that one thing he noticed is the lack or absence of tool marks. We all know when we cut through concrete or stone, the machinery that we use leaves patterns. They leave marks. Sir, did you notice any?
I can barely hear you.
Oh, did you notice any tool or machine marks on the stone on the inside of the pyramid? Did you see any? I had a friend, he went over there and he told me that he did not see any like cut marks on the stone.
That's right.
I find that's
exactly right.
That's amazing. And like when you went into the pyramid, did you get any sensations or emotions or feelings or energy vibrations?
Well, like I said, I was blessed by a Kemite priest in the king's chamber. And that was quite an experience, and not many people have actually been blessed lying in the king's sarcophagus in the king's chamber. I was. I've been all through the pyramid, and I can tell you it's ludicrous to think that humans built it. To my way of thinking, it's ludicrous. Absolutely on the face of it. It's laughable.
It's laughable if it wasn't so stupid.
We know.
Why? Because you haven't been on the inside of the pyramid. You need to go inside and look at it and experience it, and then tell me about people who built the pyramid. It's laughable in your face. People laugh at you if you say that. Because what is on the inside of the pyramid, humans could not do. Period. End of sentence. I move on because I'm smart enough to know it's incredible what's on the inside of the pyramid that humans could not have built it. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I go public and say that. Because inside the pyramid, you first of all have to, you can walk into the pyramid, but it's about 3 stories up. You have to go 3 stories up on the outside of the pyramid first. And you have to, and it's all been chiseled away, so it's very easy to do. You walk up the pyramid, and about 3 stories up, you can finally walk inside the pyramid. It's an opening to go inside. And it's been chiseled away about 8 foot high and about, I would say, about 6 to 7, 8 foot wide opening. So you can walk in. You got plenty of room to walk inside the pyramid, and when you do, then you will begin to see what I'm talking about. Humans did not build that pyramid.
Wow!
You have to get on your knees and crawl into a 4x4 square, going up like 90 degrees, going up, way up into the pyramid. You have to go on your knees and crawl inside of a 4x4 square.
Wow.
And can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. I'm just listening.
Okay, then once you go up there, you crawl up that 4x4 square, you way up, you got quite a ways to crawl. And there's no place for anyone who has claustrophobia, because once you get in that 4 foot square entrance going up into the side, inside the pyramid, you're already inside the pyramid. But now, if you want to go up to the king's chamber, you have to get on your knees and crawl up. You have to get on your knees and crawl up inside of a 4 foot square opening that's going straight. It's almost going almost oval, straight up. It's going ways up, and you have to crawl in there. And once you go in, there are other people crawling in behind you. So once you get in there, you have to keep going whether you like it or not. And it gets very scary in there because it's very claustrophobic. And you keep climbing, and it's got little lights. Egypt has put little lights inside and handrails, so you just walk up and crawl up on your knees. You crawl up, and it's called and then you crawl up until you come to an opening, and the opening is now not 4 foot square; it's about 40 foot square, and that's called the Grand Gallery. And now you walk, you finally crawl out, get on your feet, and you stand up, and now you're inside of another square going up. But this time it's 40 foot square going up. That's so crazy. Now you get on the walk, and it's got a rail and handles, and you walk up this 40 foot square of what am I trying to say, of stones. And these stones are enormous. They're like 8 foot high and 8 foot square. If you can imagine a stone be 8 foot square, it weighs, I don't know, maybe a couple of 100 tons, maybe 300 or 400 tons. I'm just guessing. Maybe 1,000 tons, 8 foot square, and about 30 foot, a 40 foot wide. What? You're talking about a 40 foot stone that's 8 foot square, weighing, and now I'm thinking about it, was like 1,000 tons, and there's 40 of them going next to each other, all the way up this 40-foot opening, as all these 40-foot long stones up in the ceiling. Who has the ability to pick up 100 or 1,000-ton stone and put it up in the ceiling one after another and lock them into place? And they're absolutely like mirror finish. You can see your face in them. They weren't chiseled, they were cut in such a way as a mirror finish.
Wow.
And you're talking about 1,000-ton stone? Who in the hell can pick up 1,000-ton stone and put it up 40 feet into the air and lock it into place, and going all the way up to the king's chamber are these big 1,000-ton stones? When you get up to the top, there's quite a ways up there. When you get up to the finally, you walk up to the top, you turn around and you look down from where you've just come, and it's just a little tiny square about the size of your little fingernail. That's the little 4-foot square you just came out of, and now you come up the 40-foot square. You're in the Grand Gallery. Now you come up to a plateau, and you're thinking, how many people would it take to pick up 1,000-ton stone and put it in the ceiling flawlessly, so it's a mirror flawless finish? I guess you'd have to beat up a lot of kids to carry 1,000-ton stone 40 feet up.
That's why
then you turn around, and now you will have the opening, because you've now reached the top as far as you can go. Now you'll see an opening. It's a big door opening of 3 stones, 2 on each side and 1 across the top. And you can now walk into the king's chamber. But you cannot walk into the king's chamber. You must, if you wish to go in the king's chamber, you can do that, but you must go on your knees. Why? Because there is a stone, the same kind of stone that's on the ceiling. There's a stone that's only about 3 foot, if that, 3 foot off the floor, and it's crossing your path. So you, if you want to get into the other room, you have to crawl under that stone to get into the king's chamber. And they say that stone is about 1,200 tons stone. How many kids would it take, and how many Jewish people you know can pick up 1,000-ton stone?
None.
How many?
None.
It's ludicrous. Who in the hell would have the power to pick up 1,000-ton stone and put it into a ceiling and put it across your path, so you have to crawl under it? And you are very well aware when you're crawling under that 1,000-ton stone, however it is put there by God, if it ever fell and you were under it, that's all there is to you. 1,000-ton stone falling on you, and it's only 3 foot high. It's only 3 foot off the floor, so you better crawl quietly underneath of it. And then when you crawl on the other side, you'll see an opening. You get out into that opening, it opens out into a room. And that little room is just about, maybe, I would say about 25 to 30 feet long and about 20 feet wide, something like that. Just a room, and it's got a king sarcophagus in there. It's got a burial thing in there. It's called the king's chamber. You are now standing inside the king's chamber, and you have no idea in the world how high up inside the pyramid you are. And now when you get ready to go out, when you get ready to leave, you have to crawl on your knees and crawl under that 1,000 or 1,200-ton stone that's there halfway. It's only about 3 foot off the floor, so you got to crawl under it. which means that you cannot walk into the king's chamber. You crawl before the king. You don't walk in.
You crawl before the king. You know.
And so my point is that nobody is going to convince me that humans picked up 1,000-ton stones, about 40 of them, and put them into the ceiling and lined them up on the walls and about 8 foot thick. I mean, you've got to be ludicrous. It has to be ludicrous to say something like that in public, that humans built the pyramid. Just go see it. And if you have enough brains to understand what you're actually seeing, if you are ignorant, ill-informed, and dim-witted and have lost your mind, yeah, go home and tell everybody about how the poor Jewish people built the pyramid. If you have an education and have gone to school and are normal human intellect, you must know humans don't pick up 1,200-ton stones and raise them 40 feet into the air and lock them into a ceiling and lock them into walls. 1,000-ton stones. Have you ever heard of a stone weighing 1,000 tons that is perfectly and flawlessly cut, true, and so smooth that it's absolutely like a mirror finish?
No,
and
not humans.
We are told that just a bunch of poor Jewish kids picked up 1,000-ton stones and put them up in the ceiling. I say, it's ludicrous to even think about the subject of religion and theology of the ancient Middle East without going there. You need to go there with your own eyes and see it yourself. Then when you hear on television shows like National Geographic, well, it took 150,000 dumb people, poor people, to build a pyramid for the Pharaoh, and it was a tomb for the Pharaoh. Well, of course it's a tomb for the Pharaoh. If you're so ignorant, you don't know that pharaohs are buried 25 miles south of the pyramid in something called the Valley of the Kings.
Yes.
There weren't no air. There was no one buried in the pyramids. Those pyramids were put there by somebody somewhere. But now here's some more to think about. In all of Egypt, everybody who knows about Egypt, all the ancient cultures that knew, the Romans wrote about it, that the Egyptians were incredible record keepers. They kept records of everything. You belched at dinner, they wrote that down and recorded it. What time and everything, no matter what happened in Egypt, they recorded it. And especially the official things that were done by the officials of Egypt were recorded mercilessly. And so it's interesting to find out when you go to Egypt that there is no hieroglyphics, no papyri paper, nothing anywhere in all of Egypt is ever mentions a pyramid.
Wow.
Nowhere in Egypt is there a mention of a pyramid. You would think, if you had a brain, that if the pharaohs had a pyramid built, he might put his name on it. He might say something about it, because it's an official building for the pharaoh. But Herodotus, the Greek historian who went into Egypt about the time of Alexander the Great, Herodotus went into Egypt and he said he talked with the Egyptians who were there, and they said they had no idea in the world where the pyramids came from. They had no idea. They didn't build any pyramids. The Egyptians didn't build any pyramids. They didn't even know who in the world built them. They said that's incredible. Wow. Of course, Egyptians were not regular people. The original Egyptians were not just normal humans like you and I, because you and I and 1,000 more of us could not pick up 1,000-ton stone and lift it 40 feet into the air and lock it into a ceiling and put about 30 more up there and lock them all in so it's like one big sheet of a mirror finish, and the walls exactly the same. So I'm just saying, if you want to talk about theology and religion, go there and do some homework and do what I've done. Spend 60 years studying theology and religion and go to these ancient places and look at them yourself, and then you will know that when you hear people tell you about how the Egyptians built the pyramid, you will know that those people are being paid a salary to shoot the bull and lie to you. Yes. Because they've never been there, and they're too stupid if they were there to appreciate what it would take to build the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Now, Jordan,
once you understand all of that, understand this: if you go to England, you go to a place called Stonehenge.
Correct.
It's a round circle of enormous stones, the same size as the ones that are inside the pyramid. Same size as the ones that are in the pyramid are at Stonehenge. And then you read the articles about Stonehenge and the pyramids, and it will tell you the same people built both. Whoever built Stonehenge built the pyramid. Why? Because the mathematical equations used in the measurements of Stonehenge are the same identical mathematical equations used in the building of the Great Pyramid. Not all the pyramids, not all three of them, the Great Pyramid.
Correct.
The Great Pyramid of Giza is on the right-hand side. It's not in the middle. It's not that big one in the middle. That's not the Great Pyramid. It is a Great Pyramid. It is not the Great Pyramid. Because when you go inside the middle one, it's very, very shallow. It's just a couple of rooms, and it's very cramped, and there's not much in there to see. You go in the Great Pyramid, and it'll blow your mind.
Wow.
What's really in there, you will see. It's extraordinary. But the point being is that the Egyptians didn't know who built the pyramid. They said they had no idea. And there's nothing written in Egyptian to tell the people who built the pyramids. So I'm just saying, if you want to talk academically, then do some homework yourself and go there. And then you will know how the Americans have been lied to, and good people in Europe and good people around the world have been lied to and tricked and deceived into thinking just a bunch of poor slaves built the pyramids. What a ludicrous BS.
Well, that's only because poor slaves built America. But Jordan, do you think, do you have any idea which alien race, the Palladians, the Orions, who could have actually have built this pyramid?
Well, I don't know, but we do know that somebody built stairs all around the world. There are stairs that have been built and temples which have been built which defy humans doing anything. There are enormous temples in the oceans of Atlantic and Pacific. Off the coast of Japan and the Atlantic Ocean are huge, enormous temples underwater. Somebody had built temples which look like 4 to 5 blocks long, the buildings, enormous temples with stones which are incredibly big and huge, and they're under the ocean. They're in the Pacific Ocean, off the coast of Japan, and out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, 10 miles north of Bimini, the island of Bimini in the Bermuda Triangle. 10 miles north of Bimini, in an area called the Bahama Banks, there is an enormous pyramid the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza. It's an enormous pyramid sitting on the ocean floor. You can go out there and can go scuba diving if you're that smart. You can go scuba diving and swim down and see the Great Pyramid, bigger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, sitting on the ocean floor, 10 miles north of the island of Bimini, in an area called the Bahama Bays. But nobody seems to have ever asked them questions: who in the hell built a pyramid sitting on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean in the Bermuda Triangle?
Yes.
And the airlines, the big commercial airlines will tell you that anytime a commercial airliner flies over the Bermuda Triangle and where that pyramid is sitting, all of their equipment, what am I trying to say?
Gyroscope.
What is the thing that tells you if you're going north or south or east or west?
Compass.
What is it?
The compass. Your compass?
Your compass. That's the word I was looking for. Airline pilots will tell you when you fly a big plane or a small plane or whatever you fly into the Bermuda Triangle, your compass, all the compasses point to true north. You are flying in a plane and you're watching your compass on the plane, and the compass is always reacting to the electronic or magnetic north. Magnetic north is not true north.
Correct.
True north is a totally different place than magnetic north. So when you go into the Bermuda Triangle, your compass is reading the magnetic field called the North Pole. But when you fly in or you go in on a boat, you've got a compass, all compasses will immediately jump to true north, to where the North Star is. That's called true north. True north is not on the earth, it's in the sky. And your compass will jump to the true north and not give you correct reading. Because now you're flying your plane into and using true north as your destination, not magnetic north. Wow. Nobody seemed to have asked the question, how come there's a pyramid sitting on the ocean floor in the Atlantic and all compasses jump to true north, pointing at the North Star, which you can't see in the daytime, but the compass does. Nobody's asking the question of how many planes and how many boats have had that problem, and why is it on the African side of the Atlantic Ocean something else happens off the coast of Africa? Just like in the Bermuda Triangle, there's an African triangle off the coast of Africa. It's called the Canary Islands. And off the Canary Islands on the African side of the Atlantic, something else happens that nobody knows how it works. But we're finding huge ships, ocean liners, oil tankers, yachts, all kinds of big ships and boats, all of them out there sitting off the Canary Islands with no body on them.
What?
No human life on the ships, but the ships and the boats and the yachts are all sitting out there and by the Canary Islands, but there's no human life on any of those boats or ships. But somebody was on those ships, but they're not there now. And so what has caused the human life forms on the ships to all disappear? The ships are perfectly fine. They're not sunk. They're all out there. But the humans that were on the ships are gone. Nobody knows where they have gone. They just find yachts with huge yachts out there with nobody on them, oil tankers with nobody on them, huge ships with nobody on them. Nobody has bothered to answer the question, where did the humans go? Where did the people go?
Exactly. Is there any idea how old these ships are, or are they just a few years old or hundreds of years old?
Say this again.
Is there any idea how old the ships are you're talking about? Or are they modern ships or older ships?
Well, older and modern. No matter who, no matter when, there's always been that problem.
Wow.
Off the coast of Africa and by the Canary Islands, in an area that's very similar to the phenomena we call the Bermuda Triangle. There's something going on there where people are no longer on ships or boats. The boats and ships are there, but the people aren't. And we don't know where they've gone, and nobody bothers to ask the question. And nobody at National Geographic or any of the Rockefeller-owned corporations like National Geographic is run and owned by the Rockefeller Brothers Trust Fund. The Rockefellers don't let, or the BBC or any of the other big international news agencies don't even touch those subjects.
No, they don't.
They don't even come near those subjects. Why? Because they don't want you thinking too much.
Yes.
It's not healthy when you think too much. You need to drink your beer, watch a ball game, and shut up. and stay out of the way so your masters don't have to put up with you. That's why they give you all the problems every day, with all the horrible things that are happening, the wars, the violence, and the economy is collapsing and all that. That's to keep you as a human busy. Why? So that keeps you out of their world. That keeps you out of their line of fire. They have important things to do. They're running the earth, and they don't need you to come pushing, poking your nose around.
Exactly.
So they make sure you got plenty to be concerned about. Stay home and drink your beer and watch a ball game. And especially are they concerned about young people, youth. The college and high schoolers, they're very concerned about college and high school students. The masters who run this world are frightened and scared of the young people. Why? Because they're young and they're strong.
Yes.
And you're an old man ripping people off. And as an old man ripping people off like David Rockefeller is 100 years old. He died just recently. When you get to be 100 years old and you think about how many people you've raped and you personally robbed and stolen and ripped off and lied to, and now you think about all the young high schoolers, the young kids in high school and college who are very, they're very strong. They got a lot of energy. And there's millions of them, and there's only a few of you. And there's millions of these young people. You get them in an army, and they're very fierce and frightening to think about how much energy that army and that military unit has.
Yes.
And so they want to give the young people sports. Give them a ball. So they go out and play ball games. Let them go out and play ball. Because they got a lot of energy, and so you need to dissipate that energy. Give them a football or a baseball or a ping pong ball or a bowling ball or a golf ball, a soccer ball. Give them a ball and tell them to go out and play ball. Because they got to learn to be a team player.
Yes.
So become a team player. That means you go along to get along with whatever your boss tells you. You're a team player. Why? Because they don't need you to think too much. They just tell you what to do. And that's why when you go to college, you learn what to kiss and when. You don't get an education. You learn who the boss is. And you get yourself in line, or you're going to jail.
That's true. And jail's another court where you have to play ball. The world
you live in is so corrupt and evil, and most people have not even taken 60 seconds to think about where they are, how they got here, where they've come from, and where you're going to go when you die. Most people never thought about it. They're just scared to death to die. Why be scared to death to die if you don't remember where you were 500,000 years ago? Where were you 10,000 years ago? Where you're here now. Yeah, but how the hell did you get here?
Exactly.
Where did you come from? And when you leave this world, where are you going to? Are you going somewhere? Or are you just so stupid as to think you just happened by chance to pop in one day and here you are? And then one day you pop out, now you're gone, and nobody knows where you came from. You didn't know what you were doing when you were here, and you have no idea where you're going when you leave here. You just popped in and popped out, did what you're supposed to do, and drink your beer and watch the TV shows and bounce your ball and go to the ball game. And that's all you're supposed to know. So keep your nose out of the boss's business.
Yes.
The guys who run this planet, like George Carlin said, it's a big club, the guys who run this world. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. So keep your mouth shut. You don't ask any questions. Make sure the kids have got plenty of drugs and plenty of alcohol and sex, pornography. Make sure all the people got plenty of things to keep their minds occupied and dissipate their energy. Make sure all the older guys have got Viagra, and make sure they got all the, make sure they've got all the stuff that the young kids take for granted. Make sure the old guys have got plenty of their drugs for sex too, and their alcohol, and make sure they got a liquor store on every corner. Make sure the people are happy, because if they're not happy, they come after the leaders. The leaders are a bunch of old, lying, filthy criminals running their mafiosis and gangster organizations called government. And they know that if the people ever decided to rip off this government, the people rise up in America. You are better understand. You are not. You're going to be a sitting duck.
Yes.
So you make sure the kids are all fed their drugs and their alcohol and their sex and ball games and sports, and just dissipate them.
This is
Keep
quite
them
literally
so ignorant and so stupid and so ignorant that they would know how to get out of a paper bag. So that today, most people do not have brains enough to know they're even alive. They just do what they do. They get up and they go to work, and they do what they do. They come home, they're broke, and one day they die. And they don't realize that the church was in charge of you when you were born, when you got married, and when you die. Is the church is always there. The church is there when you were born. The church is there when you get married. The church is there when you die.
But
why? Because the church is nothing more than an organization set up by government to make sure you stay in line and be in, what do they call it, to be in, there's a term that the government uses.
Compliance.
Meaning you need to be in compliance. Right. You need to be in compliance, meaning you need to do what I tell you to do, airhead.
You're too dumb to realize what's in your own best interest. That's why we elected Annoying Orange, because we just follow orders.
It's really interesting how the world actually works.
But does it really work, Jordan?
Nothing works the way you think it does. Nothing. Most people have no idea in the world how the world really works.
No. Like, for instance, isn't it true we're in maritime law? Like right now, me and you, everybody listening to the show, everybody in this United States, we were given a birth certificate at birth. So we're birthed like a ship, and we're floating out here in the sea of madness.
That's right. And your mother signed the birth certificate, and where she signed it, it says informant, not parent, informant.
Oh.
And if you go back and get your original birth certificate, not the certified copy, but the original birth certificate, you will find on the back of the birth certificate, all over the back of the birth certificate are bank stamps, stamped in Europe, stamped in Asia. Banks have stamped your birth certificate all over the world. Why? Because that birth certificate goes all over the world to back up the loans that are given to the United States government by international governments of the world. They will invest money in America. They will give American government $100 million. Well, you've got to have collateral for that $100 million. So the collateral for the money that's given to the United States that the U.S. borrows or uses is your body. Your body,
Wow.
your flesh and blood body is a security on the New York Stock Exchange. And you don't realize that your body is worth about $9 million on the New York Stock Exchange.
Wow.
But if you call the stock exchange and give them the number on the back of your Social Security card and tell them you found this stock in your grandmother's garage and you want to know if the stock is any good, the stock exchange will say, give us the stock number. And so you give them the number on the back of your Social Security card, and they will tell you your name. They'll say, yes, there is a stock, and it's owned by, and they will give you your name. And then you say, oh, really? Is it still good? Oh, it's absolutely still good. Then how much is it worth? They'll say, it's about $9 million or $11 million. And it's in my name? Yes, it's in your name. You got about $9 million on the New York Stock Exchange. But we forgot to tell you that because you're so damn stupid. Why even tell you anything? We'll just borrow the $9 million on your name, and you just go out there and go drink your beer and watch ball games. And you'll never know how we built the Empire State Building and all the big major airports of America. You'll never know how we paid for America. It was paid for by your flesh and blood body on the New York Stock Exchange.
Wow.
But you didn't know that because you're not supposed to know that. You're an ignorant, ill-informed slave.
Yes.
And so there's only important people who are supposed to know that. And those important people are in a club, and you ain't in it.
Well, it's time we break down the doors, sir. It's time we break down the doors and get up in the club. I want to drink my beer in the club.
That's exactly what they don't want you doing. That's just exactly what the international bankers do not want you doing. They want you to go to the ball game and go to Disneyland and eat the hamburgers and hot dogs and drink the beer and take the kids out to play and go out and watch the ball games, the football games, the basketball games, the pinball games, the basketball, and all the different ball games. There's hundreds of them. Think about how many ball games there is.
But don't all ball games take place on either a court or a field? And that's where we play our game of justice, in a court.
That's right. That's why. Why do you go to court? You play basketball on a court. You play tennis on a court. That's why you go to court. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket.
Oh,
come on.
Oh,
you
there
play with
it is.
A racket. Why? Because the whole damn thing is a racket.
It's a game.
That's what. And so that's why your body, you are a biological battery. That's why you sweat and you get hot when you're working. Why? Because you are a battery. That's what causes your nerve endings to move, so you can move your arms and the head, and you can live and be alive because you are a battery. Unless, of course, you really get really, really tired and have no energy at all, then you say things like, boy, I'm dead. I've got to go to bed. I've got to go to sleep. I am dead. Meaning your battery is drawn down. You have used all the energy in your battery, your body. Now you have to go recharge your battery. You go to bed to recharge your battery. Why? Because you are a battery, a biological, electrical unit. And that's what keeps your heart beating and your body moving. It's because you're an electrical unit. So when you go to court, if you can't, court is a maritime admiralty system. It's based on the ocean. It's based on the law of the ocean, the law of the sea. And therefore, if you go into court, when they call your name and if you walk in and put your hand on the gate and there's a gate and a fence dividing the people in the courtroom, like in a movie theater, and they call your name and you get up and you walk up and you put your hand on the gate and you open the gate, that is called a floodgate.
Whoa.
A water gate, like a hotel. the Watergate. It's a Watergate. Now you're in hot water. And somebody better bail you out because your ship is underwater. You are now in hot water and somebody's got to bail you out. That's what you do when your ship's taking on water and you're going to sink. You get that sinking feeling that you're underwater. And so therefore, someone has to bail you out. And if they don't bail you out, because you're a biological battery, they will put you into a cell. That's what you put into a battery. Your battery is called a cell. And so if you can't get bailed out, you're in hot water, they will put you in a cell. Because that means they're putting your body as a battery inside of a unit that they can now use your energy to work. They will put you out working, and you're getting 10 cents a day, and you get a whole dollar at the end of the month for working like a slave. Yes. And so they are now using your body as a maritime admiralty product. My God, the world that we live in,
it's sick.
Is just so filled with lies and deceptions. And I'm not suggesting, because I'm not a lawyer, I'm just intellectually well aware because I've been studying for 60 years.
Wow.
But I am not a lawyer, so my advice to you is do not try and do anything but what I'm saying. Do not try and be cute and to do something with your life based on what I'm saying, because you will go to jail and then they will ultimately take you to prison.
Right.
Why? Because you don't understand how the world works. The world works only for the multi-billionaires who run the planet. The big club, and you ain't in it. You can understand, you can educate yourself and understand how things work, but you don't do anything about it. I mean, you can understand the guy next to you, the next door to you may be a multi-millionaire, but you don't go in his home and you don't do anything about it. You leave him alone. You get in trouble if you mess with other people, especially when they're wealthy.
Yes, they will crush you. Like the Catholic Church, for instance. We really didn't say nothing, but isn't it not true? The Catholic Church, the Vatican, actually owns or really manages the interest on all the straw man birth certificates being exchanged.
That's exactly right. The whole world lies in the power of the wicked one. Remember, the Holy Father is a father. He's holy because he can communicate with God. He is the original Godfather.
Oh, stop.
From Italy, from Rome, the Godfather.
Oh, and you saw what happened in Godfather 3 when God.
Michael Corleone.
Yes, he was saying, you want to see the real crooks? They're in banking. They're in big business.
Vatican. He's in the Vatican with the Holy Father. And the Holy Father, the representative of the Secretary of State, is the Holy Father's representative. And Michael Corleone, and sitting there with his attorney and all of his mafiosi gangsters and bankers. And they are talking about the Holy Father needs $600 million more if he's going to sell something to Michael Corleone. And Michael has to think about it. He says, okay, I'll buy. And so what you don't know is that the mafia is sitting with the Pope in Rome, in the Vatican, making deals to buy property all over the world.
Jordan, you got a second? We have a caller on the line. Caller, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. You want to ask Mr. Jordan, Mr. Maxwell, Brother Maxwell, a question?
I do. I have a question for him. Can he elaborate on there's a theory out there about inner Earth. There's another Earth. There's an entrance like in Antarctica, and that's why they don't want people flying over there or going over there. And also, can you elaborate on like I don't know if you talked about this earlier. I got in kind of late, but like about like lizard people. I know that sounds crazy, but David Icke always mentions this on his podcast. I just wonder, what is his take on that?
Well, first of all, I brought David Icke to America myself back in 1992. He was in England struggling, trying to do something like I do. He was trying by himself to wake people up and give lectures, and I heard about him. And his secretary came over and met me and asked me if I would bring him to America and help make him, a celebrity, which I did. I spent a lot of money on David Icke. I brought him to America. I talked with him. I got him into television. I got him on radio. I got his books published. I made him famous. But he's not the only person I made famous. I've helped a lot of people, famous writers and lecturers and teachers and astronauts that you have no idea in the world how they got where they are. They got there because I put them there. I was running a company called Truth Seeker Company. I didn't have any money. I was working for the company. But I had access to the money of the company through the lawyers for the foundation that was financing the company. And that company had $24 million.
Wow.
And they could spend the interest each year for the $24 million. And so it gave me over $1 million to work with each year. $24 million. The interest on $24 million is a lot of money.
Yes.
And so I was able to spend a lot of money promoting writers, authors, lecturers, teachers, astronauts, researchers, UFO researchers, all kinds of people all around the world. And so I brought David Icke to America, made him famous. And today, David has done an incredible job of waking the people up. And I kind of figured he would. That's why I financed him. So anyway, what was the other question? What were some of the other questions? I don't remember. About the Inner Earth?
Inner Earth series. Is there Inner Earth here? Do we have Inner Earth? And it's like there are lizard people walking around.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've heard all those stories about Inner Earth. I don't believe at all because it doesn't. It does not appear to my mentality and my education that there are people living inside the earth. It doesn't make sense to me. First of all, none of it is provable, and it's just stories. But I do think there is, in point of fact, something very, very strange going on at Antarctica. You got too much activity down there with too many important people rushing down there, astronauts and holy men from the East and from Eastern Orthodox Church, from the Russian Orthodox Church, politicians like communist politicians, like in America, our politicians are all Marxist communists, and they're running down there like, what was his name? John Kerry, Marxist-Leninist, Soviet communist, John Kerry, is running down there. He's got to go down there and see what's going on for the Communist Party.
We had two people die down there too recently. A couple of researchers died.
Say it again?
A couple of researchers died in Antarctica here recently, like in past 3 months. There was a death.
That doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me because there is something legitimately and de jure real going on down there that they have found. Somehow or another, they have found something down there because there are humans down there all over poking around. And somebody has found something that's really scary. And all the big Marxist, Leninist, Soviet, communist, criminal, mafiosi, gangsters, religious leaders, gang leaders, all of the filthiest criminals on the earth are down there looking at something. They want to know what it is, and it ain't none of your business. There's something going on down in the Antarctica that you don't need to know about, you don't know about. And if it's going to affect you, they'll let it affect you, and you'll never know it until it's too late.
Exactly. Going back real quick to the financial thing with the Vatican, do you find it strange that the Army of the Catholic Church is located? Well, the central headquarters is the Knights of Malta, which is also the Queen of England is the Queen of Malta. Isn't that kind of odd? The Queen of the church that, because the English church broke away from the Catholics, but she's still in charge of the Catholics army.
That's right. That's it. And so there's something going on that you don't know about. And there's a very, very big story that you've never heard before. But I'm telling you because I heard it a long time ago. I'm still not sure of all of the facts and figures with this story, but I know it's there because I've seen it. There is a very dark and mystical story that ties the German people, Germany, with Judaism. Judaism and Germany are one and the same thing. And Zionism is a German movement developed under Adolf Hitler. And so the Nazis were responsible for the state of Israel today. There's a book two books. One of them is called 51 Documents They Don't Want You to Know About. It's a book you can order on Amazon called 51 Documents. And what it is the 51 documents that were found and republished, showing that Israel was founded by the Nazi Party. SS and the Gestapo founded the state of Israel. And all the big shots that we called the Zionist leaders were all Nazi SS Gestapo. They were all Nazi leaders. They were all Germans from Europe that founded something called the State of Israel. Wow. And the more you look at this subject, you will find that Judaism is connected with Nazism and the German people. Somehow there's a dark connection between Germany, Nazism, and Judaism. It's an incredible story.
I have another question. It's kind of pertaining to the Antarctica. It was about, hold on, let me find it here on the chat room. Ask him about the flat earth theory.
About what series?
The flat earth theory, I guess.
Oh, yeah, I know. The flat earth thing, I don't buy, but that's my considered opinion. I don't buy it. But I must admit that the people who promote this flat earth theory do have some very, very interesting ideas and some very good arguments. So I'm not saying it's not true. I'm saying the jury is still out in my mind on the flat earth. There's something about it that I know does not ring true. Excuse
me. That would make sense. I mean, we look at the space program, Jordan. How much money has been spent on the space program that could have went to urban development, could have went to people's education, could have went to maybe even getting a cure for cancer, but all this money was funneled into NASA.
That's right. And NASA was founded by the Nazi Party, period. That's why it's called NASA. NASA goes back to Nazi Party. NASA, National Aeronautics Space Administration, is a German Nazi operation. The people who founded it were Knights Templars, the Knights Hospitallers, and the Masonic orders that come out of Germany. So America is actually, the Nazi Party is now operating full blast today. The Nazi Party has never been stronger, never been more powerful than it is today.
Right here in the good old US of A.
Yes, and I've heard from people on the inside that the German and the Nordic companies, corporations, like Mazda, what is it? The big car companies.
Oh, Volkswagen or not Volkswagen.
That's right. That's right. Volkswagen and Mercedes-Benz and BMW. All of those German and Nordic companies are still today paying us a percentage of their profits coming from those companies going directly to the Nazi Party today.
Wow. This is disgusting, Jordan. This is sad. I have been totally misled when I was learning all that useless history back in high school and in college about how we won World War II. Hell, if we could take one of those dead veterans back from the grave and bring them to this day and age, they'll think Germany won the damn war. They'll think Japan won the damn war.
Well, you're the one who's crawling on your knees trying to stay alive and pay your rent and stay alive.
Yes. Yes.
The Germans still run the world, period. They run all of Europe. They run America. They run the world. The Nazi Party is now headquartered no longer in Europe, obviously. The Nazi Party is now headquartered in South America, in Argentina.
Yes.
Argentina is the new Berlin right now on the earth. Berlin is now in Argentina. It's in the mountains of Argentina. And a city up in the hills in the mountains of Argentina is the new Berlin, where all the old guys from the old school, the old Nazis, that got out of Germany when the war was falling apart, when the Germans were losing the war, it was decided by the Vatican. The Vatican decided that the Germans were losing the war, and everybody knew it, including the Germans. So it was decided by the Vatican to get all the top Nazis, the scientists, the philosophers, the theoreticians, all the important Nazi minds, all the great mental, the mental bank in Nazi Germany, get all the top Nazis out and get them out of Germany, because the Allies were coming and the Russians were coming. And the Russians had already said publicly they were going to kill anything that was German. When they got into Germany, they're going to kill anything that's German that's walking on feet. They're going to kill them. And so the Vatican realized that Russia was serious and that they were going to kill anybody in Germany when the war was over. So the Vatican decided and talked with the United States government, and they decided together, we need to get the top Nazis out of Germany. We don't want them killed because they're too educated. They're too smart.
Yes.
They're very intelligent people. You don't want to give up your intelligent people to be murdered. So the Vatican came up with the money and the false passports for all the top Nazis to get out of Germany. They gave them false passports with false names. And they gave them the money for the countries in which they were giving. Whatever countries they were sending these top Nazis, they gave them the money and a false passport, an ID, so that they could go to those countries and go to those countries and live peacefully.
Wow.
And work for the Vatican behind the scenes. They work for the U.S. government.
Now, do you think Mein Führer got through that rat line as well?
That was the rat line. That's called the rat line. The way of getting out of Germany and going to South America, Central America, Mexico, and all the other Catholic Vatican countries, Uruguay, Paraguay, Brazil, all the Nazi big shots went into Central and South America, Mexico, except the really, really top of the line, brilliant ones. They went to Washington, D.C. and they did. They went to Washington, D.C. and they took with them people like Walter Dornberger, who was head of Adolf Hitler's Nazi operation. They took with them Dr. Werner von Braun, who was a top SS Gestapo Nazi. They brought all the top educated scientific Germans into America, and they founded and put them into a place called NASA.
Yes.
National Aeronautic and Space Administration, which is real close to being Nazi, Nazi. Incidentally, the very word, in America, we have a Supreme Court.
Correct.
And in our Supreme Court, we have a Supreme Court judge who is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, meaning he is the #1 judge in America of the Supreme Court. He's the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Well, in Israel, they always had an Israeli court. They still do today. Israel also has a Chief Justice of their Supreme Court. But the Chief Justice in the Jewish Supreme Court is referred to officially as a Nazi, Nasi. Look it up in a dictionary. Look up the word Nasi. It would tell you the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in Israel is spelled Nazi. Nazi. Wow. And then look in the encyclopedia or dictionary, look up Webster's Dictionary, look up Nasi. It would tell you it's the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. But when you look in the dictionary on the Nasi, you will find that the next heading, the next word beneath it is Nazi, and it will tell you Nasi more correctly is spelled Nazi. I didn't say that. That's in the encyclopedia and the dictionary. Webster's Dictionary says if you're going to use that term, Nasi, for the Chief Justice of Israel, the correct way to spell it is Nazi, the dictionary says.
Wow.
So the very word Nazi, Nazi, is the Jewish high priest and the high judge in the Jewish Supreme Court. Nazi, Nazi. We need to wake up and learn how to read and think and research and understand the world you live in.
Yes.
We as humans are like animals. We are very easily dispendable. When there's too many of us, they decide to have a war and send a lot of the people, a lot of young men into war.
The poor. Send a lot of poor people to war. I have a question from you from Brother Junior. Is there any Christian religions today that is closer to following the first century Christians? And can you give insight on how first century Christians were?
All I will say on that is that today, what we generally speaking call Christianity, there must be 2,500 different denominations. All over the world. There's all kinds of goofballs, screwballs, cults, Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, Christadelphians, Worldwide Church of God, the Children of God, all kinds of little groups that call themselves Christians. But generally speaking, across the board, everything that we today call Christian bears no resemblance whatsoever to original Christianity.
Boom.
If I were to explain to you what original Christianity, when it was first founded in the Roman Empire, what they believed and what they taught and what the original Christians were like, bears no resemblance to Christianity today, period. There's no connection whatsoever Christianity today has with the original Christianity when it was first developed. You would not believe what the original Christians believed and what they taught and how they lived. They had but original Christianity lived nothing like we do today.
I don't think they were big on the prosperity doctrine. seeing how they were murdered during the Roman Empire. You know how they preach prosperity. You know, Brother Jordan, you give me $1 million and God's going to bless you. You know, and all that jazz.
Yeah, and I would say, yeah, I'll give it to you. Will you take a check?
Take a check.
Yeah, bring me some shit like that.
Cashiers.
I may look stupid, but I'm not that ignorant. And people who go to these churches and watch these preachers jumping up and down with their effeminate haircuts and their diamond rings and their $25 million jets, and they're going to save the world. But you ain't never seen none of these preachers who are blessing people and saving them. You ain't never seen one of them go to a hospital where real sick people are and heal anybody. They ain't going to no hospital. Hell, ain't nobody going to no hospital to save anybody. You come there, you drive your car there to their place and bring your money with you.
Exactly. Or don't come at all.
Don't come at all. Just stay home. We don't need you.
That's worse than sit there and drink your beer and shut up. You peddling false hope is worse than saying sit there, drink your beer, and shut the hell up.
That's it. Just drink your beer and watch a TV show and watch a ball game and shut up and stay out of the way. And don't get in the way of your masters who own you. They own your body on the New York Stock Exchange. You don't think so? Mess with them and watch what they'll do. They'll come out, bust your door down, beat the hell out of you with their billy clubs and drag you off to prison. And nobody's ever going to hear from you again because there's no lawyers going to take your case. Why? Because that's the way it works. There is no law in America. America is a lawless country.
Wow.
If you look at America today, it is actually, in point of fact, a good, honest lawyer will tell you there is no law. There is no justice, like the judges tell you. There is no justice. There's just us.
Wow.
There ain't no justice. There's just us.
And just us isn't you.
What the law is.
This is crazy. This is. See, you will never hear this on television. You'll never hear it on television.
No,
because they don't want this. Wow.
But the reason I say, because in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, the last book in the Bible is the book of Revelation. And in the book of Revelation, it talks about a prophecy that's coming. It's already here now. And it said in the last days, that's what we are now, in the last days of the human race, we're coming to the end of time, so to speak. We're coming to the end of the human participation on the earth. Humanity is leaving the earth and is leaving the universe very soon. And so we are actually, in fact, living in the end times of the human race. You don't think so? Just stick around and stay healthy and drink your beer and watch what's coming to America. And when it gets there, remember, America is the new Rome. Whatever happens to us, we are the new Rome. Whatever happens to us is going to really hurt the world. Because if America gets a bad cold, the rest of the world gets TB and dies. You mess with America and you're messing with the Roman Empire.
Quite literally. We don't have the legions. We had the 101st Airborne Division. We had the petrodollar.
Yeah, you know, I am just amazed. I don't even know where to start when I do radio. Well, I don't know where to begin. You have so many things that people don't know about the country they live in here in America, or the earth in particular. The earth, period. People all over the earth don't know what's going on. Nobody knows. Nobody reads. Nobody seems to care. They're all out having a good time at Disneyland, or going on the cruise ship, going on a beer cruise. Drink all the beer and watch all the TV and entertain yourself while your masters rape your children and you. They're having fun with your young boys. What do you think in the church they have altar boys? And altars where you make a sacrifice. So if you're a parent in the Catholic Church, you give them your boy on the altar, and they will sacrifice him.
They'll sacrifice his sexual purity using sexual magic.
That's what they call sexual magic. That's that's what religion is all about. Religion is all about sex. Period. That's what it's all about.
That's why in front of most churches, the steeple is really just a big phallus.
Yeah, I will give you some hints. I know you don't have 8 hours or 10 hours for me to go through this, but I'll give you some hints up front about how sex is the bottom line in all religion, period, Christianity. Christianity is based solely on sex, period. That's why it's so important. And a classic example, let me just give you one of the 1,000 examples I could give you. The 10 Commandments. You'll always remember, what's his name, Charlton Heston playing in the movie The 10 Commandments.
Yes. Oh, blue eyes.
Okay, you see Charlton Heston, you see Moses coming down from the mountain with the 10 Commandments. Well, what you don't know is that the Bible reference works. If you go to encyclopedias of the Bible in UCLA or USC, a county USC, universities, or to the big seminaries, the big university seminaries for Christianity. And well, you need to understand why are they call it a seminary.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
It just hit me. It just hit me. Oh my God. A seminary.
So if you're going to be a preacher, you're going to be a minister, you got to go to a seminary. Study all about the word, and then they will show you how the word Cohen is a Jewish word for a priest. A priest, a name for a priest in Judaism was called Cohen. A lot of Jews have the last name of Cohen. Cohen is a priest in Judaism. But do you know what Cohen means in Hebrew?
What?
It means the protector of the human semen.
Stop.
He protects the human semen. So therefore, he's in charge of you having babies. If you're a Jew, you talk to the rabbi because he is the rabbinical authority over your body and how you reproduce. So the Christians have a seminary, but the Jews have a holy priesthood called Cohen. And the word Cohen, translated from the original word that gives us the word Cohen, means protectors of the semen.
What? So Jordan, I'm seeing a connection here. It's all about domination over our physical form.
That's it. You got it finally. And that's why we have God the Father. This is why God is called the Father, our Father. Why? Because the Father is the male.
Right.
And he impregnates Mother Nature, Mother Earth. Mother Earth is Mother Nature. And Father, and so therefore, in the spring, that's the time for the spring weddings. The reason why you have those spring weddings is because that's when God the Father is going to impregnate Mother Earth with his sacred fluid. And so the ancient people said God the Father, in ancient Hindu, the ancient Hindu word or name for God in the ancient Hindu, his name was Rain, R-A-I-N. Look it up in a dictionary. The Rain, R-A-I-N, was a name of God the Father in the Hindu religion. And so today, in the spring is when you have a spring wedding. Why? Because that's when God the Father is going to impregnate Mother Earth, Mother Nature, with his sacred fluid called rain. And the rain it comes from the Father in heaven. Obviously, it must come from the Father. And so therefore, it's going to impregnate the earth, and all the flowers are going to grow. All the plants are going to grow. The food's going to grow. And now we will have food to eat, beautiful flowers, and we'll have all the animals will come out. They will reproduce. and the humans and all the boys will be chasing the girls in the spring because it's just natural. It's just plain old down home natural.
Yes.
Guys are looking for the women, and the women are playing with the guys. And so why? Because it's just male and female, and it's a springtime for wedding. And that's why Jesus, in the Bible, we're told in the Bible that Jesus went to something called the marriage feast of Cana, where him and his mother went to the marriage feast of Cana. You remember that story in the Bible? Marriage feast of Cana?
Not right offhand.
Okay, well, that's in the Bible. There's a story about Jesus, and he was invited to go to a big marriage, and his mother went with him. And his mother's name was Mary. Mary is the mother of Jesus. Her name was not Mary. That's wrong. That's false. Her name was Mari, M-A-R-I, not M-A-R-Y. Mary is M-A-R-Y. In the Bible, Jesus' mother was M-A-R-I.
Wow.
Mari. Mari is a Latin word meaning a virgin. Well, that's what Jesus is born of a virgin. Yeah, he's born of Mari, not Mary. Hell, everybody knows Mary. Mary is anything but a virgin. All the guys in town know who Mary is. She's not a, but nobody knows Mari, M-A-R-I. That's why she's a virgin.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and so look it up in the dictionary, look it up in the Bible encyclopedias. Jesus' mother was spelled M-A-R-I, Mari. And so
now, would the concordance help a person find it? Would, if a person used a biblical concordance, would that also help with researching some of the?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
There's something called Bible concordance, and you get one of those big ones, Strong's Bible Concordance, the big one, the big Strong's Bible Concordance. It's not that expensive. It's only about $19.95, I think it is, from Amazon. It's the Bible Concordance, about $20, but it's a big, huge volume with every word ever used in the Bible, period, and what it meant, where it came from, and what it actually meant. It's all there if you just take 20 years out of your life and sit and study. Yeah, if you just do that, take 20 to, or if you want to be like me, take 60 years of your life and study day in and day out all the words, the terms, and the ideas, concepts of religion and theology. My God, what a world that is of ancient theology. So
but that's
anyway,
the world that's
when you talk
controlling
about
us.
God the Father impregnating Mother Earth, that's why today in any marriage, the male in a marriage is going to manufacture. So he's going to work with his partner, and he's going to manufacture while his partner is going to be in labor.
Wow. His
partner is going to be in labor building the package that he has manufactured. Because the man is going to impregnate the female. She's going to create the project. She's going to create the product. So she is in labor building the product that he has manufactured.
Dang. This is the beginning of the whole birth certificate thing.
Let me go back to Moses and the 10 Commandments, because I got off on that. So we're told that Moses goes up into the mountain and sees and talks to God, and God gives him something called the 10 Commandments. That whole story is so incredibly impregnated with stuff you have never heard before and have no idea in the world what's being said. It will absolutely knock you over when you find out the real story that's hidden by the church about Moses. Incredible. So Moses goes up and he goes up the side of the mountain, and the children of Israel are down below on the land. They're down below and they're dancing around a golden calf.
Correct.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
The golden calf.
Mount Sinai.
The golden calf is one of the signs of the zodiac. One of the signs of the zodiac is Taurus, the bull. So for 2,100 years, 2,150 years, the sun rises each morning in the sign of Taurus, the bull. Well, the sun is golden and the bull is a calf. So the golden calf is the sun in the constellation of Taurus, the bull. And so therefore, when Moses goes up into the mountain, he comes down and God has given him a whole new religion. It's a brand new religion that Moses comes down from the mountain and he sees the Hebrew people still worshiping the old religion. They just don't get it. They're worshiping the old religion of the golden calf, the constellation of Taurus, and the constellation of Taurus, the bull.
Yes.
Which, of course, this is why when the Pope issues an order, it's called a papal bull. Why? Because of Taurus, the bull of the constellation of the zodiac. But, my God, there's so much to tell you. We only have a certain amount of time. So much more to tell you.
One that chatters is they're asking you to elaborate more on the Moses story.
On the what?
On the story with Moses.
Yeah, Moses. Okay. So Moses never lived. There was no such a man named Moses. He never lived. There was a Pharaoh, a line of pharaohs which were called Thutmoses. Thutmoses the first, Thutmoses the second, Thutmoses the third. There was a line of pharaohs called Thutmoses. Thut is our word thought, meaning the pharaohs were the thought of God. And the thought of God was Moses. Thutmoses the first, Thutmoses the second. So Moses was nothing. He never lived. There was no such a man named Moses. So if you're basing your religion on Moses, then you got zero, nothing. You got sand. You don't have a religion. You got an incredible, misunderstood lie and deception. And this is why Abraham, all the Jews talk about Abraham, all three major religions, Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, they claim Abraham. There, in point of fact, historically, never existed a man named Abraham. It's just a story.
Well, then how are the people going to look for the kinsman
Bible
redeemer?
is called the greatest story ever told.
Oh.
I used to get my butt kicked by my mother when she would find me telling stories. She would say, "You out telling stories again?" Yes. And I was out telling stories. So telling stories used to mean you out lying through your teeth. You're out there telling a bunch of stories.
Yes.
And so a storyteller was always understood to be somebody who's out there lying and trying to sell you something. He's lying to you. And so you were a storyteller. Well, this is why the Bible is called the greatest story ever told. It's not the greatest collection of historical facts ever published. It's the greatest story ever told. It's just a story. And you don't know that. There's nothing true in it. There was no Moses. There was no Jesus. Jesus never existed. There was no Moses. He never existed. There was no King Solomon. Solomon never lived. There was no king named Solomon. In the actual history, none of these people actually lived.
But then, Jordan, we have a huge problem. All of our Palestinian brothers and sisters who's been dispossessed and disinherited from their land and died trying to resist the state of Israel, you're basically saying they got the land because why? They're the chosen people of God because of Moses and Abraham, right? But if that's not true, then they're really not the chosen people of God. So where are we dealing with them taking these people's land and setting up shop?
Well, hell, they were going to get screwed anyway, so it's about time somebody does it. The idea in America is that poor, ignorant, dim-witted people and uneducated, goofy, beer-drinking, stupid, ignorant people and ignorant people who drinking beer and watching TV all day are going to get screwed. They're going to get ripped off. And since they're going to get ripped off, hell, what are we waiting for? We might as well rip them off ourselves. So therefore, we call it Israel. Israel, my God, every time I open my mouth, I get myself into another whole bunch of things that you need to know about. When the Hyksos people, the word was Hyksos. There was an ancient people many thousands of years ago in the Middle East. They were called Hyksos. And the Hyksos people illegally crossed over into Egypt. They were not Egyptians, they were Hyksos. They were a robber band. They were a band of robbers, like a biker gang. They were like a gang of bikers. And so they were called Hyksos. Why? Because that's what they did for a living. They roamed around and they pulled into town. They rape and drink and destroy and take anything they want. And then when there's nothing left, then they move on to the next town.
That sounds like the IMF. That sounds like the IMF, International Monetary Fund.
Yeah, but it doesn't make you a bad person just because you're raping and killing people. I mean, they're so stupid they're gonna get raped anyway. So it might as well be us. We might as well do it. Somebody's going to do it somewhere. So it might as well be us. And so when the Moses comes down with the 10 Commandments, this is one hell of a story. When Moses comes down from the mountain with the 10 Commandments, we remember what the 10 Commandments look like. It's a big, huge stones. And on the stones are written the 10 Commandments. Well, if you go to the Encyclopedia of Christianity, the different dictionaries and encyclopedia references in the seminaries where the priests go, and read the reference work, read the seminary, read the big reference works, the encyclopedias about Christianity, and look up the word 10 Commandments. They will tell you the 10 Commandments were not 10 big stones. No. The reference works tell you that the 10 Commandments were round, tiny round stones, very small little round stones, that Moses could carry both stones in one hand. They both fit the palm of one human hand. The two stones would fit in one person's hand. They were referred to not as the 10 Commandments, but in Hebrew, they were called the stones of the testimony. And this is why today, when you go to court, you're going to testify.
Yes.
Why do you have a testimonials or stones of the testimony? The very word stones of the testimony comes to the word testes. So in ancient Egyptian, when you went before the courts in ancient Egypt and in ancient Judaism, and you go before the court and you're going to bring your brother, your actual brother in the religion, you're going to bring him before the court and you're going to testify that he did something to you. When you go into court today in Israel, you go as a man, you're going to testify about something. You must hold your testicles in your hand when you're testifying, because that's where the word testifying comes from, testes.
Testicles.
The idea being, if we catch you lying about your brother in this court, you're holding your testicles. You know why? Because you'll put your testicles on the line. You lie in this court, and you're never going to have a baby again.
Wow. And
so that's why you are testifying. And that's why when the man gets mad and angry and starts acting like he's mad and angry, women say you're getting testy, meaning you're feeling your testicles. You're feeling like a man. So now you're getting testy. Why? Because you're testifying. You're getting testy. Now, when he comes down from the mountain, he is bringing the 10 Commandments, which the reference works say were two round stones with the 10 Commandments written on both of them. One stone had 10 Commandments written all over it, the one round stone. The second stone had the same identical 10 Commandments written on it. So they were called the two stones of the testimony. which represented your testicles. That's why he could walk down with 2 round stones in his hand. It says testicles. And they were the 2 stones of the testimony. Why? Because when you go into court in Israel, you're going to hold your testicles when you're testifying, because your testes. Wow. Because that was the only way in Egypt they do. You're telling the truth. You better hold your testicles when you're testifying, because if we find out you're lying, son, guess what? You're going to wish to hell you'd have never come in here holding your testicles, because you're going to walk out here without them.
So maybe that was why it was shameful to be a eunuch.
That's exactly right. And so therefore, when Moses went up into the mountain, we will read in the Old Testament that Moses, who never lived, there was no man named Moses who ever lived. But the story is, when he went up into the mountain, he confronted God in a bush. It was called the burning bush. Did you ever hear about that?
Yep.
Okay. Moses, we are told, if you go and read the Bible, it says Moses went up into the mountain to talk to God. And when he got up there at the top of the mountain, there was a bush, a big bush, and it was burning. It was a burning bush. And that's a very famous story in the Bible. Moses and the burning bush. Well, the burning bush was the female vagina, the burning bush. And that's where it comes from. Because the burning bush, the Bible says, when Moses went up there, he encountered God in the burning bush. That's the female sexual production part of her body, is a burning bush. And therefore, she is on fire. That's why they have the song like, "Come on, baby, light my fire."
Yeah.
It's called the burning bush. She's saying, "Come on, baby, light my fire," because her burning bush is a vagina.
And then when you think about it, when he ejaculates, that's the water that cools the fire.
That's exactly right. And so therefore, she's saying, she was the burning bush. And Moses confronted God in the burning bush. Well, that's exactly what happens. Man, for the first time, actually connects himself to Almighty God in sex. Because man don't get any closer to God than he is making love to a woman.
Wow. And that brings forth new life.
You don't get any closer to God than that.
You know what? That adds new credence to when 2 or more, in case of an orgy, is gathered, he's in the midst.
Yeah,
sorry.
Right.
We have to make some humor, or else we end up crying.
You know what? I could sit here for the next 10 hours and tell you all about the Old Testament stories in the Bible and how they all go back to sex and drugs and rock and roll. It's all just a story. The whole thing is a story so that one group of people can hold themselves out as holy and everybody else can go to hell.
Exactly.
This is why the Jews will tell you they are God's chosen people. If I were a Jew, I would not have the balls to be able to go out in public and say, I am one of God's chosen people. God chose me. Who in the world would have the courage to go out in front of other people and say, I am one of God's chosen people?
Isn't that the start of racism?
Story.
The true start. People. You know what? I mean, isn't that the true start of this racist concept? I am, think about it. If I'm God's son, chosen son, then I can abuse you, Jordan. I can mistreat you. I can take your land, put your ass in slavery because you're nothing. You're quite literally nothing psychologically at that point, even though you truly are. You're a human being deserving of respect and dignity. But all that goes out the way.
Yeah. Well, just think about this. All 3 major religions claim Abraham as their father. The Jews will tell you they have come from Abraham, their father. And the Christians will tell you that Christianity came directly from Abraham. And the Islamic people who do not know what is going on the earth. They have no idea in the world, because Islamic leaders are not telling the people of Islam nothing. They're not telling them nothing. Keep them ignorant, ill-informed, and rant and raving, and keep them stupid and ignorant. And don't let them know what's going on. This way we can marry the little 7-year-old daughters and little 5-year-old daughters, and marry them and keep them for the night, and then bring them back to the parents the next day. In Islam, that is perfectly legal. If you pay the father to rent his daughter for the night, you can use her as your wife. Even if she's 5 years old, 6 years old, you can rent her. You pay the father, you pay the family. It's called an overnight marriage. So you pay the father, and he gives you his daughter, and you take her home, and she is now your wife. You have privileges with your wife. Yes. And so you can enjoy her in bed. She's only 7 years old or 5 years old. You can enjoy her in bed, because that's the way Islam thinks. And so the man is the absolute father. He's the father God. He's the whole father of all living things. He's the male. That means he can rape anything he wants, any damn time he wants. And if you don't like it, he'll knock your teeth out, slap you around, and teach you a lesson. You don't tell the male in Islam anything, period. He tells you. Where did he get the authority? He got the authority because he's got a heavy fist. He'll beat your face in. That's what his authority is. And so once you understand the way religions have developed, in the use of sex and the domination of innocent children and innocent people, we see all this stuff going on in Islam, of the marrying little 5-year-olds. Well, what about the priests? They're raping the 6-year-old boys. And we know it's pedophilia everywhere, period. Yes. Males and adults are raping young girls, young boys, young girls, or young kids, period. They're there for the raping. That's why you have altar boys in the Catholic Church, because you are putting them on the altar to be sacrificed.
Wow. Now, Jordan, do we find the same system in Hindu or other religions? Like the same basically premise, we're going to dominate your body?
That's basically what it is. And it is basically the domination of the human family. All humans, even the men, are being dominated by extraterrestrials. So the men are dominating the women and children and raping them. But somebody's raping the human family, period, on the earth. And they're not from here. They're from out there. They are extraterrestrials.
See, this is what I'm trying to get people to
the extraterrestrials. They call them EBEs. EBE, which is extraterrestrial biological entities. Extraterrestrial biological entities, or EBEs. We call them aliens from another world. We call them aliens from out there. Why? Because that's what they are. They're alien to our planet.
Now, are they racist or like hateful? Like Sister Rainetta Jones came on the show, and she was explaining to us, like, you'll have some of these most hateful people who feel that they're, genetically superior, but they're truly trying to be superior to their, I guess, creator, and for lack of better words, but this is used to Palladians. Right. The Palladians soups up the Aryans to think that they're something special. But then when it really comes right down to it, the Palladian, a full-blooded Palladian, will never accept a half-human Palladian as their equal.
Never have and never will.
So is that kind of the origin for human racism? This thought that we can transcend our collective family because we're spliced with something outside the family?
I don't think so. That's not the way it works in the Italian world. I know. I was born and raised Italian, and our family is important. Mm-hmm. You have an Italian mother and an Italian father. You don't. If you don't have an Italian mother, you're not Italian. You just happen to be living here in this town.
Wow.
It's family. That's why the mafia keeps talking about the family. You protect the family. Like, why? Because that's where you come from. You come from your mother. You come from your father. And he is the family. Your mother is your family. So it's, you know, you're a full-blooded Italian. You don't get in the mob. You don't get in the mafia, you know, unless you're full-blooded.
Yes.
And so that's the way it works. But anyway, have you ever seen the Jews when they're at the Wailing Wall?
Yes.
When the Jews are at the Wailing Wall and they're praying. Have you ever watched them on television when they're at the Wailing Wall and they're praying?
Jerking back and forth. Yep.
Back and forth as they're praying. You know why they're doing that?
It's almost like they're giving a simulated head job.
That's right. They're having sex with God. That's what it amounts to.
It's funny you mentioned that wall.
Because they're having
having
sex with God. That's according to the Encyclopedia of Judaism.
Oh my God.
They're bobbing back and forth because they're having sex with God. And
well, you
the
know
Bible says God made mankind, male and female, he made them. So that therefore, if God made mankind, male and female, and God made mankind, male and female, why? Because he is male and female. God is both male and female. So therefore, there's a female part of God that's called, Hebrews call the female God, Shekinah. Shekinah is a word in Hebrew meaning the female principle of divinity is Shekinah, not Hekinah. Shekinah. Shekinah is the female part of God. So if you're going to talk to God and you're a man, you bob back and forth, showing that you're having sex with Shekinah.
Wow.
You're having sex with her as you're praying to her. She is your God. And so you're having sex with her. It's called the Shekinah. And that's why the Jews are bobbing back and forth in their prayers, because they are symbolically having sex with God.
Disgusting.
Incredible. Most people don't know any of this. I could talk for another 10 hours about things you've never heard about religion and have no idea in the world what they mean. Let me give you one more example of how small and tricky this world really is. I can come up with 100 examples if you give me the next 10 hours, but I don't have 10 hours. I'm not suggesting you do anything. I'm no lawyer, and I'm not suggesting you do anything. I'm suggesting you listen and learn, but don't try and do anything about it because you're going to end up in prison. Just learn about it. You don't do anything about it. You just learn and educate yourself. I'm just giving you a small, tiny example of how the world tricks you every day. When you are driving along and the cop stops you, you get the red light and the cop stops you, and he gets off the motorcycle, he comes up to your driver's side, and he's giving you a ticket. Everybody's had a ticket. When he's giving you a ticket, what you don't know is going on right in front of you. You don't know it because you're not educated enough to know it. But what he is doing is he is holding a ticket folder. He's holding a whole bunch of tickets in his hand. It's in a pad, and he's writing on the pad, and he's writing out all the charges. Like Sears is going to charge you for this, and the credit card's going to be charged. Well, he's going to charge you also. He's going to charge you with speeding or charge you with running a red light or something. So he's going to charge you. And therefore, he's writing out the ticket. Well, that's what they do at the store when you go and buy a pair of shoes. They're going to write out a ticket. They expect you to pay it. So you're being charged. So the point being is when the cop is writing out the ticket, he writes it all out. It's his ticket. He's the one that owns it, not you. It's his ticket, and he signs it. And when he writes it out, then he signs the ticket. Then he hands it to you in the car, and you sign the ticket. And now, as understood, you have to pay the ticket. But what you don't know, and nobody's ever told you but Jordan Maxwell, because it's the kind of thing I see all the time, is that when you sign that ticket, you are referred to by law as an undersigner. You are a co-signer to a ticket in commerce. That ticket is called a ticket in commerce. Why? Because it's commerce, it's business.
Right.
Somebody's going to pay some money because of this ticket. So it's called a ticket in commerce, and you are the second person to sign it. The cop signed it first, you signed it second. So you are considered a co-signer on the ticket. It's not for you, it's his ticket, he signed it. But you are a co-signer, which means as a co-signer, you take that ticket, photocopy that ticket, then write out an affidavit saying that you are sorry that you co-signed for something you didn't realize you were co-signing for a ticket in commerce, and then you send that letter with the photocopy of the ticket and the affidavit that you signed, and you sign it that I think you have to go to a notary and have it notarized at the same time that you are saying that you co-signed on this ticket, not realizing it was a co-signer that you were doing, and you decided you don't want to co-sign for this ticket. You don't want to co-sign, so give it back to the person who gave it to you. Let him pay for it. Then the secretary, then you send it to the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of State will then send that letter of yours to the Department of the Treasury in the state, the Treasury Department in the state in which you live. And the person in the Treasury Department will take that Secretary of State letter with your ticket in it and send it. He will mail it directly to the cop, to the police officer's address. And they will tell the police officer, you have to pay this ticket. The guy you gave it to decided he doesn't want to pay it, so you pay it. And you will pay it because it's your ticket. You're the one that signed it. He was a co-signer, and he decided not to co-sign for you. Co-signing means I'll sign, so in case you don't pay something, I have to pay it.
Right.
Well, that's what you just did. You just co-signed it. So if the cop doesn't pay it, you got to. Well, the cop ain't going to pay it. He'll let you pay it. Well, you full of crap, Jackson. You give me a ticket, I'm going to give it back to you. I don't want to co-sign the ticket. So you pay the damn ticket, not me, fool. I may look like a fool to you, but you pay the ticket. I'm sending it to the SOS, like Save Our Ship.
Yes.
No, Secretary of State. Secretary of State, SOS. So you send that ticket to the Secretary of State and say, I don't want to co-sign for this. He gave me this ticket. He signed it. It's his ticket. I don't want to co-sign. So she'll send it to the Department of the Treasury in the state in which you live. And that Treasury Department will send that bill, that ticket to the cop, and he has to pay it. No ifs, ands, or buts. He must pay that ticket. Why? Because it's his ticket. It was in his possession. He's the one that filled it out, and he's the one that signed it. It's his ticket. He has to pay it, not you. You are a co-signer, an undersigner. You signed under him.
Right.
How many people know you can tell the cop you pay the ticket, stupid?
No.
Not me. I ain't paying it. No, thank you. Don't give it to me. You pay it. If you don't like paying it, you don't know about that, I'll send it to the Secretary of State and tell her I don't want to co-sign. She'll send it to the Treasury Department of the state, and the State Department in the state that you live in will send you the bill, and you are expected to pay the bill yourself.
What?
So how do you like that, cop? The next time you want to write a ticket, you better think about it, son, before you go write the ticket. Because whatever it is you're writing, you're going to pay it. You might as well understand that up front. You're going to pay the ticket, Jack, because you're the one that owned it. You're the one that signed it. I was a co-signer, and I don't want to co-sign it. That's just one small, tiny example of how government rips you off and laughs at you and mocks you. You're not supposed to know any of that. Cops never tell you that. The judge never tells you that. Nobody tells you that except Jordan Maxwell, because I'm tired of the bullshit.
Yes. So
I'm tired of all those lies and deception.
Mad as hell. I'm not going to take it no more.
We've been told for years that are not true. None of it's true. The government doesn't represent you.
No,
cops don't represent you. Have you ever seen the cowboy movie, the old John Wayne cowboy movies?
Oh, yeah, when I was a kid.
Okay. Where was the police department in those cowboy movies?
It was on your hip. It was called a six-shooter. It was like on your hip. It was the gun. That was the police out then. I mean, when you're back there in the backcountry, there wasn't no cops back there. You had that six-shooter, that gun,
there
that
was
peacemaker.
No police. There was no police. Where does the police car come from? Where does the police department come from? There's a whole story of where the police come from. Today we have in our government, we have the politicians called congressmen and senators. They are referred to lawfully on the news. They were referred to as policymakers. They're the policymakers for America. They're the lawyers. They are all lawyers. They're policymakers. Well, in other words, they are policies. And you call up City Hall and ask your City Hall in the place where you live, what kind of government am I living under? And they will tell you the name of your government that you're living under today in America is called policy maker. Policy. Public policy. That's what it is. Public policy. That's the kind of government you live under today in America is called public policy. Call any lawyer or any cop and ask him, what is the word public policy? And he will tell you that's the name of the government you live under in America. It's called public policy. Why then? So therefore, we are living under public policy. That's why our laws are called statutes. Statutes of law. What is a statute? A statute is a carving of something that maybe used to be alive but isn't alive anymore. It's a statute. And so that's why we have public policy, and our laws are called statutes, statutes of law. Why? Because they are carvings that look like the person they used to be. They look like John Kennedy. They look like Caesar. But they're not Caesar. They're just statutes. So that's why in law you have statutes. You don't have any laws. You have a public policy. And therefore, who's going to back up the policy in case I decide I don't want to follow your policy? You can take your policy and stick it. I don't live by your policy area. You come on my property, I live by my policy, not yours. Well, who's going to back up the public policy with the arms? Who's going to back it up? Well, obviously, you're going to have politicians have made up the policy, and it's backed up by the police. Back up the policy. So therefore, the police are backing up the policy of the politicians. So therefore, the politicians make the policy, and you will abide by those policies, or the police will throw you into jail because your body is a battery. They're going to put you in a cell.
Yes.
You need to understand the way the world actually works. And I am probably the only person out here on the air that's ever going to tell you the truth. And most people are so profoundly ignorant, they don't care about the truth until they get in trouble.
Right.
And when they get in trouble, then they're going to prison, and they're going to go to court over something that they could go to prison for 20 years in prison. They're looking at. Now they say, call Jordan Maxwell. Ask him what to do. call Jordan Maxwell. You didn't call Jordan Maxwell for the last 30 years. Why the hell are you calling him now? You didn't care about him before. Why care about it now? Well, because he's the only one that knows what's going on and can help me. Yeah, but he's the only one that ain't going to talk to you. Because I've been around for some 50, 60 years doing what I do, and ain't nobody ever cared to do anything for me. Nobody ever cared to do anything for me in 60 years, and now all of a sudden the world is now all screwed up, and now it's really scary out there. You can't do anything. You can't say anything. You go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm the only one out there talking by myself for 60 years trying to explain to the people in my country and around the world nothing is working the way you think it does. You better go back and educate yourself on how this world really works.
Wow.
Your religion has nothing more than homosexuality. You love your fellow man. That's what the gays do. And so when you start to learn how religion works and what the words in the Bible really mean and what does the word church mean, people don't mind telling you, oh, yeah, we go to church. You go to church? Yeah. You know what the word church means?
No. I think it comes from Scotland, didn't it? It means a money endeavor, a way to make money.
That's right. That's why the different churches are in denominations.
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's 5 and 10 and 20s and 50s. They're into denominations.
Oh, my God.
Because it's a way to make money. To control you, instead of going to control you, I might as well make a few bucks off of you. So damn stupid. Might as well make a few bucks off you, too. So go sit your ass in the church. It's like a movie. Go pay and go in the movie and sit down and watch the show and smell the candles and see all the holiness and all the pretty windows and the candles and all that's all very pretty and holy. It makes you feel good, makes you feel holy. So put some money in the pot and shut up. And
always
you
with
go
that
there
shut
every
up.
Sunday and you're going to a different denomination.
Wow.
And so the bottom line is, after going to church for some 50 years, every week you go to church. After 50 years of going to church, I ask you a question that you can't answer, that you don't know anything about the church. You don't know where the word church comes from. And I would ask you, my first question I ask Christians is, who owns the sun? That thing that comes up every morning, it wakes you up, that big bright light in the sky.
Yes.
We call it the sun. Well, who owns that sun?
Yes.
Well, obviously nobody in Africa owns the sun, but they get a hell of a lot of it, but they don't own it. The Germans don't own the sun, and I know Americans don't own the sun. I mean, lots of people think they own this and they own that, but nobody on the earth can say they own the sun. So theoretically, I suppose, if you ask that question, who owns the sun? Theoretically, if you're a religious kind of person, you might want to say, well, God owns the sun.
Right.
Well, at least I understand that God owns the sun. But there's only one sun out there. We don't have 6 suns on this earth. We only have one. And that one sun is very, very important to us. And so we say God has a son. So it's God's son. And God's son is called the light of the world. Jesus is referred to as the light of the world. Of course, the sun is the light of the world. What else lights our world every morning if it's not the sun? So God owns the sun, and God's son is where? He's up in heaven. You bet your ass he's up in heaven. And that's where he's going to stay, is up in heaven. You ain't going to heaven when you die. You ain't going to heaven with God's son. No, you're going into the ground, into a hole in the ground. You're not going to heaven with God's son, because God's son is S-U-N, not S-O-N. And so God's son, and there's only one son. So the God's son that comes up in the morning, he's the only begotten son of God. Only begotten one. He's the only Son we've got. So he's the only begotten. There's not those 6 of them. There's only one. And so God's only begotten Son is the light of this world. Of course, the Son is the light of this world. And when he comes up in the morning, he is risen.
Yes.
And therefore, he is your risen Savior. Of course, the Son is your risen Savior. If it don't come up, we're dead in about 3 weeks.
Yep.
If the sun doesn't come up, you're going to be getting real cold real quick. And the earth is going to freeze. You think the glaciers up in the North Pole are bad? Wait till you see what's going to happen in Alabama and Brazil. Wait till you see what's going to happen down at the equator when there's ice 4 miles thick. In 6 weeks, you're going to have ice on the earth. It's going to be covered with ice, and every living thing that was alive is dead. Therefore, the Son is your risen Savior. Of course, it's your risen Savior. What are you going to do if it don't come up? You're going to die. And so, therefore, the whole idea of Jesus being God's Son, our risen Savior, Jesus represents the Son, S-U-N, not S-O-N. He is your risen Savior. He's the light of the world. Of course, the Son is the light of the world. And therefore, when you start going into where did Christianity come from? It's sun worship. Christians go to church on Sunday, S-U-N-D-A-Y.
Yes.
The Jews go to their temp El, because El in Hebrew is God. El was the name of the planet Saturn.
Yes.
So they called him Saturn. It became known as El. So the Jews go to a temp El. They go to temp El. El is God in Hebrew, and temp is the house of. So the Jews go to the house of El, or the temp El. But Christians will point to the side of their head and say, this is the left and right temple. It's the house of God in your head. It's your temple. I'm just telling you that there's a world of knowledge and education and hidden stuff. You can go to school and get an education, but you're not going to be told anything of any real important value about bullshit. They do not teach the bullshit in college. Jordan Maxwell will teach you the bullshit, where it really comes from and what it all really means.
You know,
so
Jordan,
most people do not appreciate that I am not here to try and educate you. I'm here to show you how much you don't know. You have no idea in the world what's going on this earth. And who owns this earth, and where did you come from, and why are you here? And where are you going to go when you die? I mean, really, if you ask anybody, where the hell were you 500 years ago, or 1,000 years ago? Where were you?
In baby heaven.
You don't know where you were 10,000 years ago. Well, I'll bet you don't know where you're going to go in 10,000 years, where you're going to be 10,000 years from the day, where you're going to be. You didn't get the faintest idea where you're going to be, because you don't even know where you came from. And as a matter of fact, even worse, you don't even know what you're doing while you're here.
Exactly.
You don't know where you came from. You don't know what the hell you're doing here. You don't know how to live. You don't know how to think. You don't know how to read. You don't question nothing. You don't know nothing. You just drink your beer and watch your television and watch your ball game and just go along to get along. If not, I will. The government will kick your ass and beat you up and beat your face in and throw you in the prison to teach you a lesson to keep your mouth shut and don't ask no question.
You know it. You know, Jordan, real quick, where can those who are interested find you on the internet? The real Jordan Maxwell, not the poser fake shit, your real website.
Well, my website is Jordan, like the Jordan River. Jordan, not D-O-N, D-A-N, like the Jordan River. And my last name is Maxwell, like the coffee, Maxwell, Maxwell. My name is Jordan Maxwell, and therefore my website is Jordan Maxwell Show, SHOW. JordanMaxwellShow.com is my website. But the reason why I make something to do, I make a point of saying show, SHOW, because there are other websites out there on the web of people who are using my name to make money. They're making money off of my name. I have nothing to do with those websites that have my name, Jordan Maxwell. I got nothing to do with them. But the people who own those websites with my name on them are making a lot of money because people around the world know me and they want to follow more of my work. They want to contact me. They want to email me and buy books and buy tapes and whatever. And so other people put their websites out there with my name on them so that they will get the business that should come to me. And so if you want to contact me, there's JordanMaxwellShow.com. That's my website. Anything less than the word show is not me. Jordan Maxwell Show is my website.
You also have another website for the researchers as well, correct?
That's right. You go on my website, JordanMaxwellShow.com, and you will see a little flyer, a little link that says join Jordan Maxwell Research website. I have a second website that you can join off of my original website, and it's called the Research website. And why? Because when you go to Jordan Maxwell Show, that's my original website. But I have a second website called Jordan Maxwell Research website, which is all of the documents and pictures and audio lectures and research papers and recommendations, all the stuff I recommend, all the people I recommend, all of the pictures and documents of all the lies you've been told, all the things you've never known. I'm trying to put it all out on a particular website by itself, a research website. So if you want to go through all of my stuff, all the pictures of lies and stuff you've never known before, and how the world really works and what's really going on and what you didn't know, then go to my original website, Jordan Maxwell Show, and then you will see advertised a little flyer that says Jordan Maxwell Research website. Click on that and join my research website.
Yes.
The reason why you have to go to my research website is because I have two websites. One is to promote me, and one is to promote and give to you all of the proof of the things I'm saying. I have the documents and proof from the encyclopedias and dictionaries that show you where the words came from, what they really mean, what the symbols in the churches really mean, what the symbols in the synagogue actually mean, where they come from, what the words in the law and courts actually mean, and all the lies and the deception that you've been privy to all your life. For the first time, going to my research society or my research website is going to open up the whole world of the truth to you. For the first time, you'll see where everything has actually come from. So I would suggest, if you're interested in learning and educating yourself, I'm 80 years old. I may not be here much longer. But for the past 60 years, I have done nothing but read and study all the laws and lies and tricks, and religion, and government, commerce, and business. It's just an incredible amount of information that most people have never heard and never will hear, because the world that you live in is not about to tell you nothing.
No,
they want to keep you stupid and ignorant, ill-informed. You don't need to know what the lawyers know. You don't need to know what the federal judge knows. He makes a lot of money. He makes a lot of money because of what he knows that he hasn't told you yet. So when you come into court, he's looking at you like a fool. Here's another fool. He's going to get ripped off like all the other fools. I'm going to take him for a ride, and this chumper's going to give me some money. And if he don't give me any money, he gives me some mouth, his ass is going to prison, going to jail. Because I'm the boss here. You understand what the boss means? I'm the boss, and you do what the hell I tell you. And you say, well, the law says this, and the judge will tell you, there ain't no law, and there is no justice in this courtroom. It's just us. It's just me. I am the law. I'll tell you what the law is. I'll decide what the law is, not you. I don't give a damn what your silly-ass law books say. I'm the law.
Judge Dredd, I am the law.
It's incredible how much people don't know. So if you want to educate yourself, most people don't. It's all right. You don't have to. You just drink your beer, watch your ball games, and have fun. But one day when your ass gets in trouble and you're going to wake up and find out you're in serious trouble and you know it's bullshit, and you're going to want to talk to Jordan Maxwell, find out what's going on here, what's the real story, how to protect myself, what's really going on. Just remember, Jordan Maxwell may not be here. He may be dead by the time you get around to it. But just remember, you could have, if you had wanted to, you could have been educating yourself now. And so many people write me and say, Jordan, where do I start? I'd like to be like you and know what you know, but where do I start? My God, I don't even know where to begin. This is so much. I say, why don't you start with me? Have you ever thought about doing that? Why don't you join my research society and sit there and read it, look at, listen to everything on my research website? Why don't you start with me? I've already done all the work. You don't have to go looking for nothing. I've done it all for 60 years. I'm putting it all on my research website so that you can find out the world you live in and how it works, and what the words mean and what not to do. And when you do it, here's how to do it right. And so you need to go on my website to Jordan Maxwell Show and join my research website, because that's where all the real heavy-duty stuff is. And I want to thank you for having me on the show, and we can do it another time too.
Yes. You know, I'm just sitting here, my brain's racing. I'm always racing, thinking of new and crazy things, but I would like to actually do a combo show. I would love to have you and John Lear on at the same time.
I love John Lear. John Lear is one of my favorite people in the world. I just love John Lear because the guy is so incredibly well informed and intelligent, bright, smart, clever.
Yes.
He is just sensational. I love John Lear. I love to listen to him. I learn from him. I think that'd be a kick in the pants. I'd be on with John Lear.
Well, then I'll work on it. We'll do it. I'll call you sometime. I'll get John on the phone and we'll just do a 3-way and we'll just, run the ideal by. And if it's a go, we'll just take it from there.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Always call me in this time in the afternoon.
Yes.
Or early evening, because I'm 80 years old. I don't even get out of bed till 2 o'clock. I'm too old and I'm too tired. I've been doing what I do for 60 years. And not getting any thank you for it, nothing. So I've been giving myself to the world for 60 years, and I'm tired, and I don't have the energy, and so I don't get up till late in the afternoon. But I'm up in the afternoon, and when I get up, I come out to my office, and I'm going back on radio and do what I do all over again. I talk to people on radio every day.
Wow.
So if
I want to say thank you, though.
Email me. It might be better if you email me before and tell me you're going to call, so I'll make sure I'll be here.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, email me and say, Jordan, I want to call you at such and such a time in Pacific time zone. Here's the day I'm going to call you, and here's the time I'm going to call you.
Right.
And then I'll make sure I'm here and I don't miss your phone call.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll just reach out to John, and we'll just do it. We'll make this happen. We'll make history. I think this will be the first time ever you and John will talk.
I think so, because John and I have been friends for many years. I really like him. I have a very high respect for John.
He is a good guy.
Because he's
fascinating story.
He's a classic guy. He is really a class act. And I love him because of it. He's right on target on all his stuff he's doing and all his stuff he's talking about. And he's been all over the world.
Yes.
He's forgot more about the world than we're ever going to know. So I feel I love being in the company of John. And I know him well, and he knows me. So, yeah, let's do it. And I would be delighted to do your show anytime.
Oh, I thank you, Jordan. Thank you. Well,
okay.
Well, thank you, and have a great rest of the night.
Yeah, and all I would say is, remember, it's Jordan Maxwell Show. And when you go on Jordan Maxwell Show, that's my website. So don't write me an email on Jordan Maxwell Show and say, Jordan, is this really your website? I've heard that there are other websites. Is this really your website? Because you're hearing me. You're hearing the man himself.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Maxwell is telling you, my website is Jordan Maxwell Show. And go on to my Jordan Maxwell Show. You'll see a huge website, but you'll also see a way to join my research website, Jordan Maxwell Research. Join it. And let me tell you why you have to join it. Because I have many lawyer friends who tell me things I should and should not do. And I am told that I should not put the kind of information that I have on my research society, my research website. You should not put that kind of information on the web because you could get in trouble putting this kind of information on the web that I have on my research website. You can get in trouble by putting it on the web because the public is not supposed to see this kind of information. They're not supposed to know the stuff I'm telling you about on my research website. And so I'm told that my lawyers have said, if you go to dinner with about 10 of your friends, you get a whole bunch of friends together, and you're going out to a restaurant to go to dinner. And you go out and you get a whole table on your own by yourself with the 10 of your friends, and you got your own big table for your friends. Whatever you talk about at that table is private. Government has nothing to say about it at all. You can sit there and call people any name you want, use any kind of foul language you want, call people anything you please. As long as the people sitting at the table with you don't mind, you can use any language you like because it's private.
Right.
But it's private, so therefore the government has nothing to say about what you talked about last night in the restaurant. They don't even know what you talked about. It's none of their damn business. But if you go out on the radio or go out in the city square and start talking about the same stuff you talked about last night with your friends, now you're taking that language you're using, the cursing you're using, the words that you're calling people, you're taking that public. And government is empowered to protect the public. That's why we have government. Government is supposed to protect you. Well, they don't do shit but rip you off and lie to you. But the government is there to protect you. So they will tell you, if you go out in the public and start talking and using that foul language and calling people names, you start calling people names in public, they get you in serious trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Cops can come in and arrest you for using that kind of language in public. Why? Because they're there to protect the public. They don't want the public hearing all of this word you use.
No, they do
and
not.
So I was told by my lawyer friends, if you're going to talk about stuff you're not supposed to talk about, people are not supposed to know, then you need to make it private. Make it so that people have to join to hear what you're going to say, and you have to join to see what you're talking about, to see the pictures, and to listen to the documents, and listen to and see the white papers and research papers and all the books you recommend and the people you recommend and all the research you've been doing over the years. You better keep it private, because if government ever finds that you're putting it out there in public, you know, you're going to be in trouble for telling people stuff they're not supposed to know. So I'm just saying, if you want to know what's really going on, then go join my research website. And that's it. So we'll talk later another time.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you, too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Wow. Wow, wow. It happened, y'all. Jordan Maxwell on the show. Hopefully, we're going to make history with Jordan and John Lear very, very soon. Because you know how I work, y'all. I get an idea and I'm like a pit bull. I'm on it. I want to give a mad shout out to all you chatters, man. You beautiful, beautiful chatters. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being with me for the past 2 years. The ups and downs. But we got better places to go, y'all. We're going up. This is the year the show will increase in boundaries. We're going to change people's perspectives. And we're going to break some chains. This concludes TPIM SR Live. Today's date, October 16, 2019, the year of our Lord. I sincerely ask you, live your life with integrity, without hate, envy, or greed. As always, brothers and sisters, let's try to be kinder to each other. Peace and power, love and respect, dignity and unity, and liberation. I'm out.